Hi children, this is your third maths lesson this week. Today we will be subtracting mixed numbers. The first question is 7/5 take away 3/10. Thinking back to yesterday, how do you think we might tackle this question? Okay, so we could use a bar model. Let's have a look at a bar model to start with. I know that 5/5 equals 1 whole one. So I know that 7/5 is greater than 1 whole one, so I need to draw a second bar. So I've got 7/5 coloured in. How would I take away 3/10 when my bar is split into fifths? That's right, I could split my fifths into half to make them tenths. And now you'll find it much easier to take away 3/10. So we're going to cross off 3/10, 1, 2, 3. And what am I left with? Write down your answer. Could you write it as a mixed number and an improper fraction? So this is a whole one, it's 10/10, so plus one more, we can have 11/10, or as a mixed number, 1 whole one, and then we've got 1/10 left over. So 11/10 or 1 1/10. Now look at this one, 2½ subtract 1/4. How would we have a go at this? Let's draw some bar models. So I've got 2 whole ones, and I need another one because I've got a half to think about. So I'm going to split my bars into halves because that's what we're working with. And I've got 2½, so 2 whole ones plus a half. I've got to subtract 1/4, but they're not in quarters, are they? So what can I do? I've got to split each bar into quarters. So 2 whole ones and 1/2 was this, and I've got to get rid of 1/4. These are all quarters, so I'm going to get rid of that quarter. And what am I left with? 2 whole ones and 1/4. What would this be as an improper fraction? Pause the video and then write your answer down. So how many quarters would it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quarters. And remember, we can do 2 times 4, because it's 2 lots of 4 quarters, plus 1 more quarter, and that's 9 quarters. And 9 divided by 4 is 2 whole ones and 1/4. 2 5/6 take away 2/3. Have a go if you're confident that you can work this out by yourself. So using bar models, I need to have 2 whole bars and then another one, and I'm going to shade in just 5/6. So 2 whole bars coloured in, and they're split into sixths because in the question it's sixths, and then 5/6. So how would I subtract 2/3? Well, at the moment my bars are in thirds. Sorry, they're in sixths, but I need to make them be thirds. So if I split one bar into 3 equal sections, I would have 2/6 for each third, because 2/6 is equivalent to 1/3. So these are all thirds, and I've got to subtract 2 of those thirds. So I know that 1/3 is 2/6. So if I subtract 2/3, I'm going to get rid of 4/6. So 1, 2, 3, 4/6 have gone. And what am I left with? So 1 whole one, another whole one, so that's 2, plus 1/6. 2 and 1/6. So what I've done here is I've got rid of 4/6. 2 and 5/6, take away 4/6 gives me 2 and 1/6. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13/6. Just to check, 13 divided by 6 is 2, remainder 1, and then 2 lots of 6/6, 2 times 6 is 12, add 1 is 13. Now look at this one, we're using a number line here. 7/5 take away 3/10. Where is 7/5 on the number line? Pause the video while you figure it out. So 5/5 is the same as a whole one, and I want 7/5. To work out what my number line's going up in, I can look at the number of jumps between 0 and 1. It's not the number of lines, it's the number of jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 jumps between 0 and 1, so each jump is a fifth. So 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, 6/5, 7/5. And I must take away 3/10, but they're not in tenths, are they? Between 0 and 1 I've only got 5 jumps, so how can I make it be 10 jumps? I can split my fifths into half, and that's going to give me tenths. So 7/5 take away 3/10. These are my tenths. 1, 2, 3. So this is my answer. But what is the fraction shown at this point on the number line? Pause the video and write it down. So I know that I'm going up now in tenths, so it's 1 whole 1 and 1/10. Or if I count these all together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11/10. Well done if you got that. Now have a go at this one. 2 2/3 subtract 7/9. Pause the video while you have a go. So looking between 0 and 1, how many jumps are there? 1, 2, 3. So my number line is going up in thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 or 1, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, or 1 1/3, 1 2/3, 2, and then 2 1/3, 2 2/3, 3. So this is 2 2/3. How would I subtract 7/9? Because they're not in ninths, they're in thirds between 0 and 1. So how can I split my number line up so that there are ninths? I can split each third into 3 parts, and that will give me ninths. So now between 0 and 1 there are 9 jumps. I'll do it all the way along. So they're now ninths. I've got to subtract 7/9, so 7 jumps backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is where my answer is. What is the fraction that's here? Pause the video and write it down. So this is 1 whole 1, and I'm going up in ninths. So 1 1/9, 1 2/9, 1 3/9, 1 4/9, 1 5/9, 1 6/9, 1 7/9, 1 8/9. Or it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 ninths. And 17 divided by 9 is 1 whole 1, remainder 8, so it's 1 8/9. Look at this problem. A race is 3.5 kilometres in length. Annie has run 1 1/8 kilometres so far. How much further does she have to run? So the whole journey is 3.5. So far she's run 1 1/8. What has she got left to run? What is the calculation? The calculation, because we're doing subtraction, remember, is 3.5 subtract 1 1/8. I'm going to show you a quicker way of answering this without having to draw bar models. So I'll show you two different options because one of them doesn't always work, and you'll see why in the next question. What I could do is turn a half into a fraction out of 8. So we're finding equivalent fractions. So what's 1/2 equivalent to as a fraction out of 8? So they've got the same denominator. 2 times what makes 8? 4. 1 times 4 is 4. So a half is the same as 4/8. So it's 3 and 4/8. Subtract 1 and 1/8. And here we can just subtract the whole numbers and subtract the fraction. So 3 take away 1 is 2, and 4/8 take away 1/8 is 3/8. Okay, this doesn't always work because sometimes this number here is greater than this number here. So we've got to exchange and it gets a bit messy. So the other option is to find, turn them into improper fractions, find the improper fractions and then do it. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7 halves. 3.5 is the same as 7 halves. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So 7 halves take away 9/8. But we need equivalent fractions, so they've got a common denominator. So what's 7 halves the same as a fraction out of 8? So what do we times 2 by to get 8? 4. 7 times 4 is 28. So it's actually 28/8. Subtract 9/8. And what's 28 subtract 9? It is 19/8. And turn that back into a mixed number. How many 8s go into 19? 2 whole ones and 3/8. So if you're doing it this way, either turn them into improper fractions first and then find the equivalent fraction and do a subtraction, or find the equivalent fraction and then turn them into improper fractions. Okay, got 2 questions to have a go at, and I'd like you to use one of these methods to work them out. Thinking what I said, if this number is greater than this number, you can't just do a straight subtraction, you've got to find the improper fractions. Pause the video while you have a go. This is your last 2 questions of the day. Okay, so 5 1/10. Subtract 2 4/5. But if I turn that into an equivalent fraction, so it's out of 10, I would have 2 8/10. But look, 5 take away 2 is 3. I can't do 1/10 take away 8/10 like this. So I've got to turn them into improper fractions. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 1 is 51/10. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 8 is 28/10. So now, because my denominators are the same, I can just subtract my numerators. 51 take away 28. Well, 51 take away 20 is 31. 31 take away 8 is 23. It's 23/10. And that's the same as 2 3/10. Well done if you got 2 3/10. Now this one. So I can see that we're going to need 8ths at the bottom. So 3.5 is the same as 3 4/8. 3 4/8 take away 1 7/8. And I can see again that I can't do 4 take away 7. So I've got to find the improper fractions. 3 times 8, 3 lots of 8/8 is 24, plus 4 is 28/8. And then 1 times 8 is 8, plus 7 is 15/8. And I can just subtract my numerators. 28 take away 15 is 13/8. 13 divided by 8 is 1 whole 1 and 5 left over. 1 5/8. Well done, we'll see you tomorrow.